Economy. Let's talk about economy. Or rather, let's do economy. The state feeds on our taxes? Let's imagine a population of 33 million people in Canada. The tax rate is 10 to 15%. But to make the example easier, let's say that each taxpayer gives $1 per day to the state. Since there are 33 million of us, that's about 30 million multiplied by 365 days of the year, which gives a result of $10,950,000,000 per year to the state. But this is only the minimum, because we give much more than $1 to the state per day. Indeed, the GDP of the Canadian state is 3 trillion. If I tax 15% of these 3 trillion, I have 450 billion left for the management of the state. If you ask Google, how much is the budget of the Canadian state? It tells you that the total Canadian government spending budget is $433 billion for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Hence the idea of having open borders for immigration to maintain a balanced budget. Each migrant is a potential worker and a potential taxpayer. Closing the borders implies a reduction in the population and therefore a reduction in the budget. There are leaders ready for that. In Canada, we have a selective immigration policy. It is always better than immigration imposed by international quotas. If we want to maintain our budget, we must maintain population stability. Therefore, a balance through migration. My example of contribution stipulates that the larger a country's population, the more profitable this number is for the economy. But it doesn't always work like that. For example, this is not the case for India, where the average income is less than $1 per person. Indians with a monthly salary of $1 cannot therefore contribute as much as we do in Canada, America, and Europe. The lower the market income, the more equivocal the contribution, i.e. taxes. It's the same in China. Although there are more Chinese people, the Chinese yuan is equivalent to 19 Canadian cents. So it's a monetary scam, because we don't use the same currency. That's why Venezuela and its bolivars went bankrupt recently. We base our wealth on what we are able to resell. If no one buys what we sell, we go bankrupt. That's why the America First policy is prohibited. International business inflates income figures, especially for a country that is mainly an exporter. If America decides to stop buying German sedans, under the pretext that it is itself a car manufacturer, it will collapse the German car business. Not that the business is not profitable, but the internal figures are inflated by export figures. The United States of Europe is a copy of the United States of America. In America it works well because the states are not really independent of the government in place. In Europe it works less well precisely because the European states are real states with their own culture, their own language, and their independence capital. Despite this, there are countries that have gone bankrupt. This is the case of Greece in 2008 and Italy more recently in 2023. Of course, these bankrupt states are supported by the European Union via the debts of the 27. This can indebt the 27 countries of the European Union or be a factor of long-term economic growth via repayment and profitable investments. Japan is also a special case. Although its public debt is higher than its income, Japan continues to trade as if nothing had happened. Of course, they have the backup of the Americans who support them financially, geopolitically, and militarily, but this can rightly provoke the rebellion of other nations, in particular Russians, by what is perceived today the injustices, the choices and preferences of Westerners towards their partners, and in contempt of other countries who are not entitled to the same support, cause disruptions and global conflicts. If it is fair for Europe and its allies to erase and whiten a debt, in Putin's mentality, it is also fair to recover lands that were once theirs. Europe lives on exports. All it takes is for no one to buy European anymore, and then you have it, the market crash. This applies to any country that trades on the stock exchange. It is very likely that the world will switch to Trump's nationalism. If these other countries see Trump as a referendum, a solution to the resolution of current political and economic problems, Trumpism is precisely that, prioritizing the state via nationalist policies. America first. And since many countries are dependent on America, especially for its currency, these countries could collapse unless they also adopt a policy of my nation first.